Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another review. And this time, we're going to be taking a look at Bad Education, a brand new film on Apple TV. Last year, there was a news story that broke that pretty much didn't really shock the nation all too much. Essentially, what happened last year was that there was this huge cover up, this huge story about how the rich or the elite in Hollywood were essentially bribing their way or their kids' way into going to a fancy college like UCLA or USC or Harvard or whatever. And it was a pretty shocking moment in educational history. And up until that point, a lot of the controversies, quote unquote controversies, for school districts were mostly about, relations between a student and a teacher that, is not good. Definitely don't do it. Don't suggest it at all. But when it comes to a huge controversy, the biggest one of recent memory was that sort of bribery story. And currently, friends of mine who work in the education field are having to change plans. My school district, especially the one that I live in right now, every single one of the classes here have to be remotely done, either through Zoom or Google Hangouts or anything like that. It's a very trying time. And what better way to talk about the essential role of education than with Bad Education? Make no note about it, this movie isn't necessarily a film that espouses the best qualities of these educators. In fact, this is based off of a real life story that happened either around the turn of the millennium of the 2000s. This tells the story of a superintendent up in New York State who was found guilty of embezzling money from the school district funds to fund things such as facelifts or expensive flights to different places, or having to buy new houses, new properties. And it wasn't just a superintendent, but it was also other people on the school board of this high school town in New York State. And it's a very compelling case, and I definitely recommend you research that sort of that story before coming to this film, because there's a lot to really discuss with this film. The acting here is pretty good. I would say this is some of the best work of some of the actors on display. This also has a really good cast. You have the kid from Hereditary. You have Hugh Jackman, of course, as the head superintendent of the school board. You have you have I can't remember the woman's name from I, Tonya, but she won Best Supporting Actress in that film, I remember. You have Ray Romano. You got a pretty damn good cast here. And for such a story of this caliber, you could not have asked for a much better cast than this. For most of the movie, we're led to believe that granted, there's no bones about it. The film never questions what they're doing is good or not. It's definitely portrayed in a light that's, it's bad. It's essentially a bad thing that they're doing. But there's this line towards the end of the film, and even though all these people that had been embezzling money had done wrong, there's this line at the end of the movie, and I'm not going to say who says it or anything, but essentially it puts into question, how far neglected our school system is, to the point where you have people like the superintendent of the school district having to embezzle money to try to make the school district better. And while the film doesn't fully, go deep into that whole discussion about the way the government usually just tends to sideline education all the time, like the classical meme, if you've been in high schools in the past 20 years, it's like, oh, I used a science textbook from the 1980s, I used a social sciences book from 1964, or something like that. And there's this line that's basically like saying, what I hate? I hate you. You don't appreciate us at all. You don't appreciate anything that we do. You always forget us, but we never forget you. And it's a good line, to say the least, despite the events that had taken place with this character, this certain character, this person has a point. The simple fact of the matter that the school system itself has been neglected for so long that people who are trying to do their best to provide a better education simply go down the rabbit hole of greed in the face of trying to do what is quote unquote best for the school district. And what's best for the school district in that sense for these people was to embezzle money to do their own private bidding. Now, I would love to see Legal Eagle talk about this film because this is a very interesting legal case. I would love for him to talk about it, but unfortunately right now he's talking about Tiger King, so that'll be a very long time before we get to that movie. But I'd say for the subject matter that it's talking about today, to the brilliant acting, to some of the best screenwriting I've seen this year so far, I would say Bad Education is a very good contender for this year's Best of the Year list. I don't have anything much else to say. If you can find it, if you have an Apple TV subscription or some other way to find and watch it, I would definitely recommend it. And I'm going to give Bad Education an A. I would say that this film is a very timely film for many people, especially now that there are classes that have to be taught online. The simple fact that last year there was this huge controversy with the bribery incidents and all this other stuff, and it's a very timely thing that we talk about our education system in a huge way, and this film does exemplify that. I have more reviews coming up for you really soon, hopefully. I got a review of The Willoughbys probably tomorrow or the next day. Trolls World Tour, the entire nature documentary slate that was dropped on Disney Plus earlier this month. Tons of other different stuff to talk about. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.